Hello, everybody, and welcome to the blog post. This one is probably going up in the early morning hours on March 24th, 2015. I want to apologize. It is to make up for the post that was missed last week. Due to my nephew being on spring break and my having a migraine, the blog post never actually got put up or recorded, and so I'm doing that now. This week I kind of wanted to talk about backlogs, why they happen, why they're important, and kind of my thoughts on them. And when I say a backlog, I'm talking about that stack of video games that we all have that we intend to play one day, never quite get around to, or, we play a little bit and maybe never complete, that kind of a thing. For some of us, they go all the way back to original, like NES titles that we want to eventually beat. Games that we picked up and just never got started on. Maybe something a friend gave you that, yeah, thanks, and you just never traded it in. Anything along those lines. I mean, it happens. We all know that stuff like this happens. Anybody who's a gamer knows that this happens. And really, what I wanted to talk to you guys about comes down to kind of some different points. My backlog is huge. I have games that I would love to play going all the way back to the SNES, probably some on the NES, and I'm just not thinking of them off the top of my head. Actually, I can think of a few off the top of my head. And I think part of what happens is when you're a kid, you have a lot more free time. Think about it. When you're on the bus, you have time to play your games on the bus. You go to school 6 to 8 hours, do your homework, then you have time in the evenings. You don't have to worry about making dinner. You might have to do some chores, but you don't have as much stress. You don't have as many worries. You have your parents to take care of things. And so, growing up as a video gamer, we kind of keep that mentality going, I think. And we always think that we're going to find the time somewhere just to sit down and play all these games. And some of us do, don't get me wrong. But I think more of us don't find that time to sit down and just play those games and really find out if we enjoy them. Now, my backlog is a little bit different than I think than how a lot of people look at theirs. My backlog both consists of games that I've never completed and games that I have completed. But there's a different qualifier for them. Most of my games that I have ever purchased in my life, I have kept. I've done a limited amount of trading, some selling, not a lot. But generally speaking, if I think I'm going to come back and play a game at some point, or if it's a game that I really loved, I will keep it. The few times I have traded away games that I really liked, I've kind of regretted. For example, my Pokemon games, I really regret having traded those in when I did. My original Dreamcast, my original Xbox. Usually if I trade stuff in, there's a specific reason why, and typically speaking, it's financially oriented. Why I need to trade the game in at that time. Now, for me, the biggest part of my backlog, and when I talk about a backlog, I'm usually talking about games that I've never played. Games that I've never had time to sit down and play. Even games like Mario Kart games. Mario Kart for the Wii U, let's say. I haven't completed it. I haven't 100%ed it. I haven't done everything in it. I'm not interested in 100%ing games. For me, the value in a game is in the story, the enjoyment that you get out of it, having fun playing it. I mean, that's just number one. And whether it feels that it's worth my time. I have played some games that are the story's great, artwork's beautiful, music's fantastic, but it progresses at such a slow pace, it doesn't feel that it's worth my time. And that's part of the reason why I'm not a 100% completionist. A lot of times, pardon me. A lot of times, that 100% completion is just a filler. It's something that's added in to extend the life of a game past what it would normally be at. I don't particularly care for that. I grew up with the NES and Atari 2600 and Intellivision, where games were very straightforward. You had a beginning, you had an end. Once you completed the end, you could replay the game. But a lot of times there wasn't the New Game Plus. There wasn't, there's 500 other things left that you can go collect that expand upon the story a little bit. And so that's not a frame of mind that I usually think of when I think of games. My backlog then consists of games that I haven't played, and there are a lot of those. Starting around the PlayStation 2 era, I started working a lot more. I started having less free time. At the time, particularly, I was driving an hour to work. Sometimes then it was an hour and a half, actually. I usually planned for an hour and 15 minutes. And I was take me an hour to an hour and a half to get home. This left very little time because my job I actually was at for 9 hours. So you figure 3 hours traveling, 9 hours at work, that was 12 hours. Most people are up for approximately 16 hours. Ideally, you have half an hour to an hour to relax and unwind before going to bed, either reading or whatever you're going to do. So that's 13 hours right there. Waking up, getting a shower, that kind of stuff, that morning routine, planning what you're going to wear and everything else, that's another good hour or so. So really, I had about 2 hours of free time each day. And I like to spend time with my family, talk with them, and so my time was very divided. And what happened is games went by the wayside. Um, I played them when I could fit them in, but I wasn't able to stay in that same mentality, that same active energy that it takes to really be what you might call an involved gamer. It didn't diminish my love of games a lot, but it affected how I viewed games. And this is where this philosophy of a game being worth what you put into it. Is it worth your time? Is it something that you're enjoying? Is it something that you're having fun with? Even if you never complete the game itself, is it something that you are, the act of playing, it feels worthwhile and you are enjoying? Getting back to my backlog, that's where a lot of my backlog comes from. That and games that I've picked up in the meantime, like stuff that I'd like to play for you guys, stuff that I'd like to do reviews on. Um, and this is part of where I'm going with this, is into the reviews. So I think the backlogs are important for gamers. I think it says something about us, something about where our interests lie, something about where we are at a given time. Once upon a time, this game never would have been on my pile. I actually did some book report, a couple of reports in college, pardon me, about this game, the game previous to this, Grand Theft Auto 3 in particular, and about how the violence that it shows is starting to be replicated in children, and we're starting to see increased amounts of violence, and the need for not only the ESRB ratings on it. As you can see, this game carries an ESRB rating of mature. The reason for that is detailed on the back, and parents need to understand what that rating is, why it's there, what it means, and it's up to the parents to decide if it's appropriate for their children. I'm not saying that the ESRB hands down is correct or incorrect, but parents need to look at that and need to decide that. But my tastes have changed. I started playing the what game was it? Saints Row. Loved the Saints Row series. Just the comedy in it, the gameplay, and so I'm willing to give Grand Theft Auto a try. And so now it's on my backlog, whereas 3 years ago it never would have been. And it says something about my evolution as a person. It says something about how I've changed, how my thought processes have changed. And so I think the backlog is important. I think it marks milestones in us as people, and how we change and how we evolve. And all of those games that we've played and that we love, that we keep as part of our stable of games, our backlog of games that we can go back to. So, kind of two different backlogs in a way. Also says something about us. I mean, when I first heard about it, I never would have played Demon Souls, Dark Souls. But then I saw people playing it, and I saw their love for it, I saw their passion for it. And that in turn led me to want to play for them. So again, it was an evolution. It was something that changed in me. That love of the difficulty, the skill, the intensity that comes with those games. So, That's really what I wanted to say about the backlog. I think it does speak volumes about us as people. It talks about not only us, but also our society at the time and the issues of the day to an extent. For example, Grand Theft Auto talks a lot about the issues. Red Dead Redemption, to an extent, kind of looks at issues back in the Old West. Pardon me. So, the backlog's important. Now, how this plays into, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this right now. I want to save it more for something more formal. But how this plays into my reviews. And I got to thinking about this because I did an on-stream review of City Skylines. How this plays into the reviews, and I'm sorry that I'm repeating myself, is that I don't look at a rating system, 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 1 through 10 on a scale of 10. How I look at a game is, you guys know me, in theory. If you don't, you can get a sense of who I am by watching my videos, by watching my live stream, by reading my blog posts, by getting to know me. So I don't rate games based off of any type of numerical scale or value. How I rate a game is whether I would buy it, whether I would rent it if I could, but not necessarily buy it. Whether I would pass on a game, or whether I would never purchase a game. And there might be a little bit of variation here, but the general idea is at the time of writing, so let's say I did a game review tonight. At the time of writing, this is my opinion on this game. If you like games similar to my interests, I would suggest that you buy the game, don't buy the game, rent the game. You get the idea. The point being is that you have options. There's always options. I don't want you guys to feel obliged in any way to buy a game because I say buy it. I want you guys to hear my opinions on a game. Based off of my opinions and the information I provide, I want you guys to be able to decide whether the game is even worth looking at. If the game's worth looking at, hey, check out videos, check out information on it. Maybe you'll buy it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll find that you like a lot of the same games I do. And so, if I recommend buying a game, you'll be more inclined to buy it. But the point is just get you to think about the purchases that you may make. And if graphics are important to you, that's something I'm going to talk about a little bit. If they aren't important to you, you can skip over that section. So my reviews are going to be based more around my personal preferences and how I feel about a game. I'm going to try to provide information about different aspects of the game for you to consider, and if you agree with me, great. If you don't worry about it. So that's really everything I had to say for this vlog. There will be another blog post this Wednesday, and there should be another vlog post on Friday. Depending on how things go, I do have an interview and appointment on Monday, week from yesterday. So we may have to play with things. I'm possibly starting a new job. I haven't heard anything definitively. So next week becomes much more play it by ear. As always, please keep an eye on the various, I always forget that it's flipped. The various medias. We have Twitter up top. My Steam group, which I don't use as much as I should, I freely admit that. Facebook, you have Google+, then you have my webpage. My webpage is usually kept up to date, as is Facebook. Google+ and the Steam group, not so much. I may stop using them depending on feedback from you guys, just because I don't hear anything on them at all. Occasionally on the webpage I hear something, occasionally through Facebook I hear something, and I hear mostly through Twitter or through live streaming to you guys. Anyway, this has been another blog post. I hope you all stay safe and enjoy, and until next time, see you later. Goodbye.